So I've always liked when other YouTubers, do a quick bookshelf tour. My bookshelf kind of grew based on the inspiration of seeing other people's. I think what I have at no other bookshelf. Welcome back to the Muscle Code YouTube channel. We've made it to my #1 Star Wars book. And like I said, I've read like over 20, over 30 of them. And we've had a few comments on these videos. Some say it would be hard to, knock it down to the top 5. It was an easy thing to do for me because I just took the 5 books that I've reread of Star Wars. So each one of these books in the top 5 I've reread, and they're the only ones I've reread. And then based on that, I narrowed it down to, okay, which books would I read again? So I just used that as a barometer for how to rank these top 5. And it's so subjective. If you look into other people's top 5 on Reddit or their favorite Star Wars books on Reddit, you'll see Revenge of the Sith novelization show up a lot. And interestingly, that's the only Star Wars book I couldn't finish. So it just shows how subjective this is. Some people, it's their favorites. And I've heard other people say the same thing as me, that it's the only one that they couldn't finish in the series. So that just shows how subjective it is. And so without further ado, I have as my #1, Shadows of the Empire, Steve Perry. Now this one, very close. It beats out Heir to the Empire by a very slim margin. And I give it the top spot mostly because of I had the most fun reading it. And I needed to know what happened with the 2 villains in this book when they finally faced each other. Darth Vader versus the Feline Shizor, who is one of my favorite villains in Star Wars. So Star Wars is, I don't care what you say, Star Wars is about the villains. It's about Darth Vader in a lot of ways. So my #1 Star Wars book has my favorite villain in the expanded universe, with Prince Shizor. And I just needed to know what happened when they finally clashed. My first introduction to this villain was in the Bounty Hunter Wars trilogy, and I liked him. And I looked up what other books he was in, and this one was the major one that he was in. I think he was actually introduced in this one. And so I got the book right away, and I read it in like 2 days. I just had to know, how it ended up when he finally went toe-to-toe with Darth Vader. With that said, I think it fills in perfectly, kind of like leading up to The Empire Strikes Back. It filled in a few blanks like really well. And Steve Perry's writing style is perfect for Star Wars novels, where it's not too much of a commitment. It goes by pretty quickly. And I can almost see this as a movie. I can see it as a movie where it's like, you're going along for the ride. It wasn't too bogged down with details. And interestingly, and it's rare, I think, if you talk to other Star Wars people, they usually read Star Wars books from their authors and they don't go into their author's original work. But I went into Steve Perry's Matador series, which is his own IP, his own intellectual property, and I really like that series as well. It starts with The Man Who Never Missed. Maybe I'll do a video on that series, in the future. But so I even went into Steve Perry's other books, which is a rare occurrence with Star Wars authors for me. So there you have it, Shadows of the Empire. It's the book that I would reread out of these 5. Slim margin over Heir to the Empire, but I think with the flow of the book, which is what Star Wars is all about. You want to see, you want to see when Luke, goes up against Darth Vader in the original movies. You want to see what happens. You want to know. So that flow, I think, separated it from Heir to the Empire, which was a little bit too much. Even though I love it, it could be a good thing. I think it was a little too bogged down with some details, which eliminated it from the very top spot in my list. So there you have it, Shadows of the Empire, #1. And as always, thanks for stopping by. I hope to see you back. So I've always liked when other YouTubers, do a quick bookshelf tour. My bookshelf kind of grew based on the inspiration of seeing other people's. I think what I have at no other bookshelf